don't already know me, and it's my very first podcast, so I have to warn you. Throughout this podcast, because I am Zulu, you're gonna have to deal with my broken English, and you're gonna have to deal with my Zungrish as well. So, yeah, that is it. And before I even start, let's just let's just admire i-weather yanamhlanje ukuthi cha ibinhle shame, and I won't lie, I'm such a fan for rainy days. Okay, our topic for today is poor mental health, and I would like to emphasize on the word poor because I'm not really going to talk about good mental health here, because even I myself, I haven't reached that stage, I'd say, of life. And I hope this resonates with you somehow. So let's start. Basically, we are all victims of mental health related issues. Let me just say poor mental health related issues, because our outside world, our outside environment influences the way we feel. Influences the way we feel, because you can react to a picture, you can react to a conversation. You can have a cool, calm conversation and be like, I actually had a good day today because of that conversation, regardless of other things that happened. And you can be very sad again because of that conversation. So you may ask yourself what inspired this topic of today, and it's really that guy that just decided to kill himself. Lo guy wakwe Ellen show, angazi kanjani, and he seemed so happy to me. He was singing, he was dancing, and all of a sudden he's dead. And reason for that is he killed himself. And I know I may not sound sympathetic, but that's probably because I've learned to stay above these things. Okay, so how is then mental health an issue? I think I'm gonna go back to this guy. Mental health is an issue because we walk around with a happy face. We walk around, we wake up in the morning and choose to pretend. Or you know what, I'm gonna pretend I am happy regardless of how I feel, because I do not want to show the world that I am going through something. So we walk around with a happy face, pretending that we have it all, but deep down we are going through something. And I'm not gonna be specific on what's the problem is. We all know we all know our problems. Like, you know your problem and I know my problem. And so by making this podcast, I'm trying to help you help me through talking, So we create this life where everyone thinks we are happy, but deep down we are very sad, and deep down we just wanna, like this guy, say fuck it, I don't wanna be here anymore. And it's a painful journey to walk around knowing that you are empty inside, or knowing that you are sad inside, and knowing that you should be crying, but just because of abantu, like I said, the outside environment, you don't want people thinking that you are weak, social states, like what's in social stigma, where abantu bazothi hey lo hlezi tetema weak. You don't want to seem like a weak person, and so you put on these things. And I don't think people are considerate of the fact that we need to take care of one another in that manner, where if we see someone crying, we get close to them and say, you know what, I understand, you don't have to tell me Uguti, you are going through something. We are all going through something. just cry. And if you want to talk, you can talk, but crying alone is therapy. So if you cry, you'll probably feel better afterwards. And then I am gonna address the issue lang. A person would say, how did I even get here? Because I remember I used to be such a happy person growing up. And for some, in unfortunate cases, some are just born sad because of the way they are raised, how their parents treat them, how their siblings treat them. But basically, a lot of things, nothing, I'm trying to find a word. A lot of things, ziyayiqala this mental health issue in such a way that if you have a group of friends, I guess you're like there's 5 of y'all, and 3 are really good friends, and 2 are, but that other one that is a friend of yours is also a friend of these 3, and you just feel like an outsider in that group. You feel like mostly if your intuition tells you ukuthi abantu bayakuhleba basuke bekuhleba vele, you can even see it registered on their face. Sometimes you walk in on them while they are talking about you. Sometimes you get bullies, and sometimes you get like I said, let me just get into this bully thing. You get bullies where Wuti, every day you wake up, you go to school or you go anywhere, and you get to associate with these people who keep bullying you, and it's just adding on and on and on, and you can't even go home and tell your parents about it. I'm talking about those people in their high school life, those people in their primary life, actually, like primary school life. You can't tell your parents because you don't want to seem weak. And you can't tell your parents because sometimes you can't even explain this thing. And so it manifests itself into depression. It manifests itself into anxiety. It manifests itself into many other different things. Okay, so I've dealt with how does this thing start, and then now I'm going to deal with the fact that how do you actually now deal with these type of people? How do you deal with your surrounding environment in a way that it doesn't affect who are you inside? Like, it doesn't affect your true self, and it doesn't keep adding on. And I hope what I'm about to share with you will probably helping you. You sing this will probably help you from this day forward, going forward. Okay, so the first thing that I really think is very important is realizing certain things that trigger you, certain people that trigger you, certain situations that trigger you. For an instance, if you are in a group of friends, you can just choose to say, you know what, I know utakwenze overnight, but you can just slowly detach and slowly disassociate yourself with people who are constantly trying to bring you down. Realize who has the power to convince all these other people, and start this as, like I said, the first step is to start disassociating yourself with that person first, and then the rest ngoba vele bacontrola laba abanye, like, will let go. Realize certain pictures that bring up a bad memory, and try not to look at them. If maybe you've gone through where, like, if you've gone through maybe losing a parent or losing a sibling or losing whoever, a friend, whoever you may lose that was close to you, you can just stop looking at their pictures, because it brings all these emotions that you do want to deal with, but you can't deal with all of them at once. I'd say deal with one emotion per time. So realizing things that trigger you and avoiding them. And it can go as far as cutting people loose. Cutting a certain, like, just cut ties with them. Stop talking to them and stop entertaining them, you know. Another thing is meditation. Meditation, I know, some of you may say meditation is boring, but meditation brings you a sense of calm, because it's a mental issue that you are dealing with, and as much as you cannot stop what you think, you can at least meditate. Khona meditation ekhuluma ngokuthi, you know what, since you have your thoughts going on in your mind, just be an outsider, like pretend as if you are on a side road looking at your thoughts and not trying to control them in any way, you know. So meditation, I'd say, helps. You can meditate in the mornings, very early before anyone else wakes up and disturb you, or you can meditate late at night, or just before you go to bed. And it helps with falling asleep as well. You can do breathing exercises throughout the day, where you feel like, okay, you feel too much. You can just take a breather, like get a corner or whatever, just get a quiet place, take 5 deep breaths. You're going to be fine. Trust me, after those deep breaths, you are going to be fine. They are very calming. Meditation and these breathing exercises are very calming. Another thing you can do is, this one takes a lot of energy, but you can grow a thick skin, where you in a case where you can't cut someone loose. I'd say a family member in that case. You grow a thick skin. By growing this thick skin, you can now be like, I don't care whatever they say. Vele nje nabo, they are dealing with whatever and they are taking their frustrations out on me. So I don't care what they say, because vele angihlanganise lutho nako. So how do you actually then grow this thick skin? I'll tell you, it is very hard, but you have to make believe. If someone says something that makes you sad, you can choose not to be sad and pretend to be happy. Eventually, it'll be hard, Vele, at first, because you would still feel sad. But if you make it a habit, eventually you will have thick skin without realizing. In fact, let me just put it this way: you will have thick skin without faking it. Eventually, it becomes a habit. At first, it was, I'm very sad, but let me pretend to be happy. Eventually, like, if you keep brushing these things on, like, off your shoulder, I'm not saying good you pretend to be happy, but maybe you pretend to be happy, but like, feel it. You may feel it for a few seconds and be like, you know what, whatever. If that thought comes back, and be like, you know what, I don't have time for you. Finally, you can make what makes you happy. Whatever it is that makes you happy, regardless of the fact that just do you, boo boo. Finally, let us all choose kindness, regardless of whatever it is that we are going through. Because if I'm kind to you and you are kind to me, we are avoiding a lot of miscommunication and hatred and hateful words. That's all from me, and I'd like to say, tell your friends to tell my friends to tell their friends, there's a new kid on the block. Ciao.